The day starts out chill at Chinting Academy with students strolling through the courtyard. But things heat up inside when our protagonist demands the return of his sister's medicine. He gives a serious warning that the guy will regret it if he doesn't comply. Finding this hilarious, the bully scoffs, calling the kid trash for having a vitality of only 0.62, while his buddy chimes in, reminding him the big guy's score is 3.5 and telling the loser to get over himself. The instigator then throws it in his face that the only reason he got into this academy is because he has a gifted sister. Holding the vial, the coward asks if this is what he was looking for. With a cynical smile, he tells the protagonist to come and get it. Desperate, the young man tries to stop the bully from doing something stupid. Unfortunately, the vial shatters on the floor, breaking into a million pieces. Faced with this, the guy is in total shock, staring at the mess. Furious, he lunges forward and grabs the aggressor's collar. Being much stronger, the bully easily throws our hero against the tables. Looking down on him, the big guy declares that trash belongs in the trash can. Just then, someone warns that the teacher is heading to the classroom. Turning his back, the aggressor leaves, reaffirming that trash should stick with trash. Lying on the floor, the kid mourns the loss of the nutrient solution that kept his sister healthy, and wonders how he's going to work overtime to afford another one. Seeing red, he swears he'll make the two cowards pay for this. Suddenly, a hand appears offering help. A girl with pink hair asks if he's okay. Back on his feet, the protagonist thanks her for the help and suggests they head back together. Later, the young woman calls him out on why he hasn't left for work yet, asking if he's trying to slack off since it's getting so late. Running off, the guy yells back that he's on his way. The girl just silently watches her friend hurry away. Pedaling his bike, the young man recalls that in the year 4830 of the old century, a cataclysm struck the world and corruption descended. During this crisis, humanity shattered its physical limits, developing supernatural abilities, and these warriors went to the front lines to defend everyone, earning the highest respect from society. Thus began year one of the High Martial Era, where they discovered that death didn't end the corruption, turning bodies into reanimated corpses driven only by bloodlust. Because of this, the only known way to deal with these monsters today is through specialized incineration. Arriving at his destination, the protagonist explains that his part-time job is at the Crematorium, burning the bodies brought back from the front lines. He quickly swipes his card and enters the facility. Suiting up in his protective gear, he calculates that he needs to earn 200,000 before the end of the month to pay for his sister's nutrient pod subscription. Walking through the dark corridors, he reveals that his sister is different. As soon as she started her sophomore year, her vitality hit 10,000 thanks to an ultra-rare psychokinesis talent. The problem is on their 17th birthday, the young woman fell into an inexplicable coma. Looking at the glowing pod, he laments that the girl has never woken up since. Entering the workroom, he confesses that he was born without any talent and that now it's his turn to take care of the one who always protected him in the past. With the gurney in hand, he does the math. If he burns 10 more bodies, he'll be able to pay for the broken medicine and the nutrient pod since he earns 20,000 for each one. Immediately, high flames consume the corpse in the incinerator. Suddenly, the body starts to scream in agony as the boy remembers that any mistake in here could result in a violent end or transformation into a monster due to the corruption in the bodies. As protection against the heat, he covers his face and concludes that it's because of all this danger that the pay is high and few people take the job. Something strange catches the guy's attention, leaving him surprised. As he watches the dark energy spread through the furnace, he realizes this has never happened before. Completely stunned, he tries to understand what that black shadow coming toward him is. With a loud bang, the mysterious force shatters the glass of the containment area. Caught by surprise, the young man stumbles back in fear as dark tentacles invade the room. Confused, he lets out a murmur as he's enveloped by the dark energy. To his utter surprise, his entire body starts to feel extremely comfortable as that dark aura enters him. Images suddenly begin to flash in the protagonist's mind, showing the battle-filled past of that corpse. In the vision, the dead soldier appears, assuring an officer that he would definitely join the army after graduation. The commander congratulates the recruit on his identification number for getting into the Special Operations Brigade, and the soldier salutes, promising not to disappoint the nation. During a ground training exercise, the sergeant yells that he needs to sweat more in training to bleed less in battle, forging vitality by breaking limits. Focused on his goal, the warrior trains his martial arts, throwing punches into the air. On the battlefield, the soldier attacks fiercely, warning that the defense line has fallen and screaming to kill the alien beasts. Tragically, a brutal blow hits the warrior mid-action, sending dark blood flying. Snapping back to reality, our protagonist's eyes are wide as a blue screen announces that the Soul Observation System is loading, breaking out in a cold sweat. He wonders if he just saw the entire life story of a fallen warrior. Soon the room calms down, and the aura is completely absorbed as the panel informs him that the Soul Devouring System has been successfully activated. However, the chained mutant hound in the room begins to pant, its multiple red eyes glowing intensely. Distracted, the young man analyzes the blue screen, trying to understand what this so-called devouring system is. A thunderous roar echoes through the place, revealing the demonic creature breaking loose. Cursing his awful luck, the boy realizes that a level 1 alien beast has just been reanimated right there. With a violent tug, the monster shatters its containment chains and leaps toward the protagonist. With no time to think, the young man grits his teeth, bracing for impact. The attack knocks the kid down hard, and the beast takes the opportunity to sink its teeth into his clothes. During the struggle on the floor, the protagonist desperately tries to hold the monster's mouth open with his bare hands. At that exact moment, the system reads the level 1 warrior's memory and asks the host to choose between immortal will, basic military martial arts, or ambitious spirit. With a powerful shove to the creature's snout, the guy yells, immediately choosing option B. After regaining its balance, the mutant wolf leaps and growls once more. In a defensive stance, the young man hears the system's notification, telling him to use real combat to increase the new skill's proficiency. A massive sharp claw comes down, tearing through the air toward the protagonist. Thanks to his speed, the guy dodges the attack, which ends up shattering the stone floor to pieces. As he slides across the floor, he stabilizes into a flawless and ready combat stance. Feeling a wave of power surge through his body, the boy notices his vision has become clearer, and he can now perfectly track the monster's movements. Absolutely furious, the beast charges at him with its arms wide open. With extreme ease, the young man dodges the lethal blow by ducking at the exact right moment. Smiling in relief, he admits that the last dodge was a pretty close call. In the same stance as the fallen warrior, who appears as a shadow behind him, the protagonist is amazed to discover that his body reacted naturally to combat due to the military memory he just received. During the intense battle, the protagonist swiftly dodges the beast's attack, moving with impressive agility. Focused on the fight, he maintains total concentration on the enemy's movements. In a powerful leap, the boy launches himself into the air, getting completely above the mutant wolf. With a devastating blow, he strikes the creature with all his might, destroying the floor around them. Observing the fallen and defeated monster, the guy wonders in surprise when he became so strong. Admiring the glowing aura on his hands, he reads the panel announcing the increase in his stamina and the ability to perceive weak points. Wondering if this is the power of the system and finding this miraculous encounter almost divine. Intrigued, he tries to understand why this situation happened so suddenly. The boy soon deduces that it might all be because of that small point of blue light from before. As the system announces it has detected a nearby corpse and that soul devouring is available. With an excited smile, the young man decides that since the mutant hound's body is right there, he might as well try using the ability again. Before that, he collects the remains of the dead soldier and places them in an urn. With great respect, the protagonist thanks the warrior and wishes for him to rest in peace. As he walks toward the slain monster, he recalls that the phenomenon occurred precisely when he was incinerating the corpse, and that it should work this time as well. As soon as he touches the creature's fur, a violent energy explodes, startling him. A storm of shadows envelopes the guy's body with overwhelming force. Consumed by this dark power, he grits his teeth, trying to withstand the intense pressure. Screaming, the young man feels the energy flow violently through his mind and body. Suddenly, chaotic images invade his head, showing the monster's bestial perspective. In the vision, the creature roars, desperate for food, wanting to devour humans at any cost. The massacre continues with the beast attacking soldiers and growling that it needs to eat more. After the torrent of memories, the boy drops to his knees, panting, and realizes he just saw the living creature's memories. Wiping the sweat from his face, he admits he didn't expect the frontier warriors to have to deal with so many monsters like this on a daily basis. Immediately, the system screen appears, confirming the soul reading of the level, 1 beast, and offering 3 cultivation choices: claw ability, devouring technique, or chaos consciousness. Analyzing the situation, the protagonist deduces that the points of light are the system's trigger, and that he just needs to touch a corpse to read its memories, wondering which option he should choose. Thinking about the devouring technique, he imagines the scene of eating people and quickly concludes that he couldn't handle that. Without hesitation, the guy touches the screen and chooses the claw ability, believing it's the best option for real combat. In that same instant, a sinister scarlet energy envelopes his right arm, completely transforming it. Observing the impressive mutation, he reads the notification that he can switch to the claw state during a fight. With a confident smile, the young man checks the stats for increased /damage, finding the ability to turn his hands into deadly weapons incredible. However, a new notification alerts him that the soul-devouring ability has entered a cooldown and will only be available in 12 hours, making the boy realize there's a usage limit. Faced with so many new developments, he sits on the floor of the room, focused on studying these abilities very carefully. Looking at the blue screen, the guy reads the option to either use or absorb the military martial arts and remembers that proficiency increases with use. Trying to understand what this absorption means. With a hand on his chin, he wonders if this means he can absorb the same ability to stack it and become stronger. With no immediate answers, the boy decides he'll test it out when he gets a chance in the future. Paying closer attention to the interface, he notices that the soul-devouring system itself also has levels. Leaning on the floor, the protagonist concludes that the system can be upgraded, but there are no instructions on how to do it. Standing up again, he decides to focus on what he can control now and worry about the upgrades later. Clenching his fist tightly, the young man feels that the martial arts were very useful in the fight and that he should take this opportunity to increase their proficiency. Guided by the memory of the fallen soldier, he begins to practice the movements with total precision. Concentrated, the guy throws heavy punches, easily cutting through the air in the room while performing a complex sequence of acrobatics and strikes. He realizes the movements become much harder toward the end, being practically impossible for a regular student to perform. Finishing the stance with a firm strike, he admits that he inherited a lot of the warrior's body, forging technique, and that despite the difficulty, it feels like he's practiced it countless times before. After the intense sequence, the young man lets out a long sigh, catching the breath he lost during training. With his back turned, he observes his own body, feeling the changes in the energy within him. Tired, he assesses that this military technique is much more taxing than the ones from school, leaving him exhausted after just one repetition. But on the bright side, his vitality flows better and is more concentrated. Totally motivated by his progress, the protagonist yells to do it all over again and gets back to his focused training. The next day, the boy ends up dozing off at his desk in the classroom until he's awakened by the teacher's irritated shouts. The master scolds the student, reminding him there are only 2 months left until the exam and questions if, with his low vitality, he plans on hauling bricks at a construction site, while his classmates burst out laughing, mocking his weakness. Getting up from his chair, the protagonist quickly apologizes, admitting his mistake for sleeping in class. Shortly after, the bell rings, ending the period, and the teacher sighs in disappointment, wishing the young man would put more effort into his studies. Resting his face in his hand, the boy regrets getting so carried away with his training the night before that he didn't get any sleep. Upset with the result, he grumbles that the skill's proficiency only went up to 11%. Which, in his view, is way too slow. Lying on his desk, He concludes that real combat is much more effective for leveling up and becomes curious about the absorb function when a mocking voice asks if he still hasn't slept enough. The bully's goon,